Good evening, and we will get our meeting called to order. I think you'll notice we're here on a Tuesday and not a Monday, and that is because our school board had an opportunity to attend the National School Board Association Conference in Denver this year. And I will say I do need to applaud and recognize our predecessor board members for really establishing a culture of learning for not only teachers and our administrators, but also the board. In the upcoming weeks, or the upcoming meetings, I know each of the board members will have a presentation about what we've learned and how we can help strengthen what we do in the school system to help our students. So, without further ado, we'll do roll call.
All board members are present.
Fantastic. If you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on our agenda, we have the Prudential Spirit of Community Award. And Dr. Wall is going to go to the podium and lead us.
We have some very special individuals from Carmel High School that we'll be recognizing this evening. I'd like to invite Rachel Cole, Director of Guidance from Carmel High School, forward as we recognize the 2017 Prudential Spirit of Community Award State Honoree. Rachel?
Hi. This is really exciting. One, we have a lot of good things that happen at Carmel High School, and we have lots of opportunities to brag about, academic awards, which I could actually go into bragging on her academic background as well, but that's not why we're here tonight. But Grace is going to get recognized in a moment. I'm going to bring up Kent Sipe on a project that she did in the community in downtown Indianapolis for the homeless. She worked with different organizations and reached out to an international program, to see how they supported homeless. And she got 16,000, I think, articles of clothing, $7,000 to support her efforts, and did a street store and wanted it to be a good experience for the homeless shopping as well. So she's a great academic student. She's, a superstar in our AP test that she's taking. But I'd like to bring Kent Sipe up. And Grace, come on up here.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Kent Sipe, and it's a great pleasure to be here tonight to honor a very special woman. My company, Prudential Financial, in partnership with the National Association and Secondary School Principals, sponsors a national awards program to honor middle level and high school students for outstanding volunteer services. All over the United States, young people are using their creativity and compassion to improve their own communities and the communities of others. We hope that by identifying and honoring these young volunteers and holding them up as role models, others will be inspired to volunteer as well. Thousands of young people across the country were considered for the 2017 Prudential Spirit of Community Awards. For all of these, one middle level and one high school student in each state in the District of Columbia have been selected for special recognition. Here in Indiana, I'm delighted to report that our top high school honoree is your own Grace Zhang. Grace has been singled out from all the high school students in Indiana for outstanding service to her community. Grace organized a one-day street store in Indianapolis last year that enabled more than 200 struggling families to obtain free and gently used clothing. Grace, to honor your accomplishments, we want you to come to Washington, D.C. this May to join all the other state honorees from across the country for 4 days of special recognition events. On the trip, you will receive a $1,000 award and will be considered for one of the 10 national awards. I'd like now to present you with the engraved Prudential Spirit of Community Silver Medallion in recognition of your outstanding community service. It's kind of heavy.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, wow.
Grace, on behalf of everyone involved in the Prudential Spirit of Awards, Community Awards, congratulations. And on a personal note, I had a chance to talk to Grace a little bit and very impressed with what she's done locally, and I think her desire to go into medicine and what she plans to do in the future. I think she definitely has a good head on her shoulders to really help a lot of people in medicine and the things we talked about, helping the homeless in ERs and in medicine as well. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to invite Mrs. Allison Wells, teacher at Carmel High School, forward. We have a very special spotlight on excellence this evening, Board of Education and Community. Project Sunshine in 2017 Riley Champion, and Mrs. Wells is going to tell us all about that this evening. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Allison Wells Podell, and it is an honor to be here with you tonight to recognize a very special Carmel High School student, Bella Simons. Bella is a remarkable young woman and an excellent ambassador for Project Sunshine, an organization that provides educational, recreational, and social programs to children and families living with medical needs. Bella joined Project Sunshine as a freshman, and I quickly noted her eagerness to help others. Bella, both then and still today, is warm, enthusiastic, selfless, and she always wears a smile on her face. It was immediately obvious that she was a perfect fit for the club. During Bella's sophomore year, she began experiencing headaches and other symptoms. Shortly after developing those symptoms, Bella was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Up until this point, Bella had spent a great deal of time and effort serving Project Sunshine. When Bella became sick, Project Sunshine had the opportunity to serve and support her. Bella was an absolute champion throughout her treatment. Regardless of how she felt, she remained courageous and optimistic. Bella is sweet and gentle, but she's also a fighter. When Bella returned to school after her treatment, she resumed her involvement with Project Sunshine. She taught the club and so many people the power of hope. Even when faced with challenges and uncertainties, Bella maintains a positive attitude and a fierce optimism. Regardless of what she is dealing with, she is always willing to lend a helping hand to others. For her courage, optimism, and dedication to others, Bella is much deserving of the spotlight on excellence. So please join me in recognizing and welcoming Bella Simons.
I just want to add that Project Sunshine is just an amazing club, and I always thought it was just really inspiring, and after I became sick, it just became so much closer to my heart. And I just want to thank Mrs. Wells Fordell for being a wonderful leader of the club and just being awesome in general.
Ken, from Riley, would you step forward and tell us about the banner this evening? Sure. Could you give us a few words about the banner? Sure. Okay, let's stay up there.
My name is Laura Neidig. I work with the Riley Children's Foundation. We're the fundraising arm for Riley, the hospital. And Bella is actually one of our 8 Riley champions. Every year we select 8 kids throughout the state to represent the foundation. They travel around to different fundraising events, dance marathons, all sorts of things, donor events, to just kind of connect with donors and tell their story as nobody else can. And Bella, we actually have hundreds of nominations for this every year, so the fact that she's only one of 8 is a pretty significant accomplishment. And we also look at their own philanthropic efforts, and so we looked at the fact that she did give back even before she was in the situation herself. So we actually have quite a big picture of her on our wall. I think about her every day because I walk past a picture of her every day. But normally what comes with the Riley Champions is we put a banner up in their school, and we haven't gotten the one to Carmel High School yet, so we have it here today, and we're just going to take a picture of that. So thank you again, Bella. You represent the foundation very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kind of like,
Oh, behind, put the chairs back.
that's a good idea.
Put the first up. Hide. What?
They're hiding. Okay, then we probably need to shoot this way.
I can't see you, so you can't see me.
You can't see which way she's pointing to go.
I know. Who are you talking to? I can see it. Move over again? Okay.
Congratulations, Ella.
I couldn't even see her, so I don't know how she could see me.
Okay, was Bella here like 2 years ago?
I don't know.
I think she was. That's fantastic. Oh, good. Ben made it home.
Give it back, both of them.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have public participation. We just have one person wishing to speak to the board this evening, and I did want to remind you, when you approach the podium, please state your name and address for the board, and then you'll have 3 minutes to share your comments. The green light will be illuminated throughout. The yellow light will pop on when you have 30 seconds left, and the red, with a little beeper, will chime you at 3. We'll just turn off the mic.
Well, good evening, Dr. Wall and Carmel Clay School Board members. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you for your support of the upcoming replacement referendum. My name is Toby Stark. I'm a Carmel resident. I've got a 5th grader at Town Meadow and a 7th grader at Creekside Middle School. I'm here this evening to update and remind our Carmel residents that we will be asked to vote on a replacement referendum on May 2nd. In 2009, when the legislature changed its funding formula for public education, Carmel was left as the 2nd lowest funded district in the state, 2nd lowest. This move by the legislature has forced many school districts throughout the state to pass a referendum every 7 years to help cover costs. In 2010, Carmel residents passed an operational referendum for our schools. This referendum is coming due, so we need to vote yes on May 2nd to keep this money in place. This is not a new tax. It is a replacement referendum. We are keeping up what we've already been doing. The education tax will, in fact, remain flat at 83 cents. If this referendum does not pass, the district will have to eliminate 260 positions as well as academic programs that are not required for graduation. That's going to mean larger class sizes and fewer academic options for our students. We need the community support. We need to get out and vote yes on May 2nd. And there are other things that people can do to help support the replacement referendum. I would encourage people to go to our website, www.carmelschoolsyes.com. Folks can display a yard sign showing their support. They can place a very easily removable bumper sticker on their vehicles. They can connect with us on social media, and equally important, then invite their friends to connect. But most importantly, we have to get the yes vote out on May 2nd. There's simply too much at stake for this not to pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next on our agenda, we have consent. May I get a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. And following, we have reports. And we're going to have our financial report from Mr. McMichael, and I'm assuming you're going to point out the necessity of this referendum.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we're 2 months into the year, and as you can see from the report, we are getting our revenue from the state basic grant. That's received somewhat equally each month. However, our referendum dollars, because that's from property tax, we receive that primarily twice a year in May and November. And you can see from the report that that's over $14 million, and that's about 14% of our entire budget. So, as was alluded to earlier, if we did not have that additional funds to supplement our general fund, we simply could not offer the kind of programming that we are currently offering and have been offering. So, with regard to our expenditures, about 94% of our general fund is spent on salary and benefits, and you can see that from the report. Those expenses are naturally relatively even from month to month. We have some employees that do not work year-round, so it does vary to some extent. But obviously, people are paid every 2 weeks, so that's a very constant expense, and the majority of our expenses. And our cash balance is about where we would expect. You can see it declines a bit in the early months of the year until we receive the referendum money in May, and then it starts the process over again until we get the second tax draw primarily in November. That I'll respond to questions if you have them.
Thank you, Roger. I open up the floor to questions. Well, I not necessarily a question about this, but a thank you. I know last year when we were reviewing what we've been doing in our school district to be cost effective and to, November of 2016, you gave quite an extensive report on ways that we have been trying to be very judicious with how we've been spending funds and how we have been able to, I guess, prevent spending. And each month you bring back additional good information and help explain to us how we can be fiscally appropriate and responsible with our taxpayer dollars. It does concern me very much that we rely so heavily on the referendum, and I do hope as the new budget comes into play during this long session that we will have more support, but I don't anticipate, based on what we have heard from our legislators, that it's going to change. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to comment or share? Okay. Well, thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Michael. Next. Nick.
Thank you. I just want to let the board know that I've been doing community meetings. Roger and I have been going out to the buildings. We did Woodbrook Clay and Carmel High School prior to, well, last week, and then we commence after spring break with Orchard Park April 10th, and moving through the rest of the schools for community forums to allow for there to be question and answer from our constituents, open to all community members. And it's an opportunity to share the facts about the referendum, what the replacement referendum means, and the importance of it. We've also been doing to reach out to more to our constituents. We did a live feed through Facebook at Carmel High School and had over 400 plus people watching. So our goal is to inform the voters. We're advocates of people making decisions with information, and our aim is to present the facts so they can be an informed voter on May 2nd. I want to report to the board that's going very well. Not only the attendance and the question and answer that we're getting at the buildings, but very excited to be reaching more of our taxpayers because we want them to know what's going on. So I wanted to report that's going very well, and we commence again April 10th at Orchard Park, and all the dates and times and locations are on the referendum tab on the district website. So we hope many of our families and our residents and constituents have an opportunity to, if they can't attend, to listen in. But if not, the referendum tab on the website gives all the information from the presentations as well.
Thank you, Nick. Next, we have our board member reports, and we'll turn to Mr. Kirschner if there's any legislative update that he'd like to share.
Of course, there's legislative updates. It's that time of year. So I will apologize in advance for the length, but we are quickly moving towards the end of the 2017 session. This week is effectively the last week for committee hearings on bills that have passed from one house to the other. The last day to adopt the committee report is next Monday, April 3rd. I guess before I get into the pending legislation, Dr. Wall and I met with Senator Mike Delph on March 22nd. He did provide us with some draft numbers in terms of the budget and comments on those. And I saw today that Mr. McMichael has gotten back to him on that, with that information. Senator Delph also asked us if we had a position, one way or the other, on the appointment or election of a state superintendent. I will give an update as to where that bill currently stands. And then he did advise us that next year he plans on having a resolution to recognize his favorite Carmel teachers at the high school, at the at the State House. Wow. So that was hard to spit out. While we normally meet with our legislators before session starts, just because timing-wise, we didn't meet with Senator Delph until during the middle of the session. And I think that turned out good because he was able to share with us information about what was actually happening. So next year, we might want to think about spreading them out that way. Obviously, we're at kind of the mercy of everybody's schedule. We are, at this point, trying to have, or maybe have, a meeting scheduled with Senator Ruckelhaus on April 11th. So that will be our last meeting for this session. So in terms of pending legislation, we need to remember that matters that may have died in one bill can now come back as amendments in other bills. So some of those are in the news. I'm just going to kind of quickly go over bills that are in the news. Yesterday's Indianapolis Star, there was a front page story, the title on about a bill that's going to aid private schools and allow them to get vouchers without having been in operation a year. We'll see if that goes. The Indiana Business Journal this weekend, the front page story was titled, "Vouchers a Wise Investment." So I'm happy to share that story with anybody if they haven't seen it. Also, last week, the Indianapolis Business Journal's electronic version stated that the prayer proposals, the bill that we talked about last month, that there was a portion of it that required public prayer during assembly, sports competition, and other school events. The Senate Education and Career Development Committee voted unanimously to strip that provision from the bill. The bill also encourages high schools to teach classes on world religions and affirms the rights of students to wear religious clothing or jewelry. The amended version is going to head to the full Senate for consideration. Interestingly, while we were at the NSBA conference, Brian Smith told us that ISBA was pushing to get that portion of the bill removed. And this was originally House Bill 1024. Yesterday, the IBJ electronic version said that the Senate will consider a bill that makes state superintendent of public education an official appointed position by the governor instead of elected by voters. This is despite the fact that the Senate voted against a bill like that in the past, but the Senate Rules and Legislative Procedures Committee voted along party lines to amend House Bill 1005 and send it to the full Senate to include that. In February, the bill was defeated 26-23. Bills that I talked about last month, just to give you an update, House Bill 1003, student assessments, that was authored by Representative Benning to replace the I-STEP after June 30th, 2018 with what is being called I-LEARN. It's set for hearing actually tomorrow. And as you all know, that is student assessments is one of our legislative priorities, so we will look forward to how that moves forward. House Bill 1004 on pre-kindergartner education, also authored by Representative Benning, was approved by the Senate Committee on Education last week. The budget bill will determine the amount of funding that gets. And as you know, ISBA and CCS oppose any expansion of the vouchers. House Bill 1005, which is the House version of the bill for making the state superintendent of public instruction an appointed position, that went to the Senate committee, and they made their rules to bring that bill back to life. House Bill 1043, which is on the referendum process, it covers a whole number of things, but one of the things that was added, and I think I advised us at our last meeting not a month ago, that Representative Torr's bill to change the length of referendums from 7 to 8 years is now an amendment to that bill. Other portions of his bill did not make it. I did notice that it appears that amended section is specific to school corporations instead of, at least in the summary, it was referred to political subdivisions in the past. But so it's specific to school corporations, extending the maximum period from 7 to 8 years. It passed the Senate Appropriations Committee last week, so that bill is moving forward. And again, this is one of our CCS priorities. House Bill 1009 on school financial management that proposes to eliminate the school general fund and create an education fund. Also passed the Senate Appropriations Committee last week, so that is still alive and moving forward. House Bill 1082, which included the school board member on the redevelopment commission having a vote, has appeared to die. And then as of last Friday, ISBA was tracking about 41 educated-related bills. That's down from 114 from the beginning of February. Some other bills of note, House Bill 1130, protection for student journalists. I believe we even had Carmel High School students testifying. That bill was approved by the Senate Education Committee last week. There's a number of pending bills regarding teachers' licenses and criminal background checks. And I'm just going to kind of then go through quickly a few more bills that I haven't talked about but are still alive that might have an effect on us. There is a bill, House Bill 1431, that provides that for executive sessions for state educational institutions, which I'm assuming are school boards and colleges, that they can meet in executive session to discuss matters concerning establishment of a collaborative relationship or venture to advance research, engagement, or education mission of state educational institutions, and keep those negotiations in private. So that bill, I believe, has not yet been assigned to a committee. There is Senate Bill 29 dealing with an elective course on Indiana studies, requiring schools to offer a one-semester elective course in high school on Indiana. That bill is referred to the House Education Committee, so it's out of the Senate. There's Senate Bill 61 covering school resource officers, requiring the establishment of a commission on seclusion and restraint in schools to adopt rules to be used by school resource officers. That bill is also in the House Education Committee, has been scheduled for a hearing. Actually, it was probably today. There's also Senate Bill 85 dealing with funding transportation and public transit that would allow redevelopment commissions to allocate a portion of, I'm assuming, TIF funds to funding school transportation and public education. That bill was referred to the House Ways and Means Committee. There is another bill that keeps coming back, Senate Bill 86, requiring school corporations to include cursive writing in the curriculum. That bill comes and goes all the time. Senate Bill 117, requiring that each high school history course must include study of structure of state and federal governments. That was referred to the House Education Committee. There is a bill, Senate Bill 182, dealing with superintendent contracts, saying that except for an extension, contracts must be at least 1 year and not more than 3 years. And then if the contract contains a buyout provision, that it may not be more than the lesser of 1 year's salary or $250,000. Senate Bill 249 requires that school corporations must adopt a policy that we contact references that are listed on prospective employers' applications. That was referred to the House Education Committee. There is also a bill, Senate Bill 407, that would require school employers to submit a copy of affidavits submitted by the exclusive representing organization for teachers, and the board must compile that information and post it, but it may not include any information that would identify a particular school employee. That bill, I don't believe, has yet been assigned to a committee. So that is a brief summary of the education bills, and we'll see what happens over the rest of the session.
Well, Mike, thank you for your brevity. I can't imagine if it wasn't. That's a lot of good information, though. Thank you. Any other board reports at this point in time? Okay. I did want to make 2 comments about the upcoming meetings, just so we all recall. In April and May, we will not have a workshop. We will have probably a more lengthy meeting with additional reports added to compensate for not having that second meeting during the month. And with that, meeting adjourned.